You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Zach Bechtold and Matt Franks. If you'd like to learn more about the Bearded Theologians, you can go online at beardedtheologians.com, where we have past podcasts, blogs, and a couple items for sale. So check us out, beardedtheologians.com. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this week's show. You're listening to the Bearded Theologians podcast, hosted by Matt Franks
and Zach Bechtold.
This week on the Bearded Theologians, we're going to continue through the lectionary like we have been lately and looking at John chapter 13, verses 31 through 35. And so, Zach, as you take a big yawn to take a deep breath into your theological thought, you want to take a shot of coffee before you get going?
Probably.
I know that you're going through, finishing up your last few weeks of seminary and last few moments of seminary. And so I know you're getting ready to praise God and that sort of thing. But as we continue our conversation on the lectionary in this text in John, what kind of are some things that pop up for you? I know we're like giving you a softball text. So like, here you go.
Here you go.
On a tee for you. I put it on a tee for you.
Put it on a tee. Well, it's a great piece of scripture as Jesus speaks with the disciples and talks about this new commandment. I'm going to start in 33 because in the NRSV 31's wordy. Little children, I am with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and as I said to the Jew, so now I say to you, where I'm going, you cannot come. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. And I mean, this is a softball text, right? In the sense of Jesus is pretty cut and clear. Outside of the where I'm going, you can't go part, that's a little mystery there, right? But the commandment is clear, and it's consistent with what Jesus has done throughout the Gospels. Any of them that you read, Jesus is constantly telling his disciples, constantly telling the people around, go love. Go love one another. Go show people who you are through love. When asked by religious leaders and people trying to figure this out, what the greatest commandment is, it's always love. Love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor. There's always that piece of go love, go love, go love. And what I find fascinating about this particular verse is how it starts in 33, little children. And it says that in the CB, right?
Yes, little children.
I think that's a pretty consistent translation of little children, or something to that effect. And Jesus is, it almost sounds, I don't know. I think there's a place sometime that you could take that as, is Jesus taking a little hit at them like they don't understand, But I think what he's getting as, guys, this is easy. You are this close to me. You are my little children. I'm with you now. Go and do this. It's very much that parent-child role almost of, here's where Jesus is. He's bringing the disciples in and sending them out to go do this, which is love.
But I mean, wouldn't you see it though as a instead of saying "Hey disciples" or "Hey jackass," it's a term of endearment.
Wish they put that in there because he said it.
He's being it in a sense of a term of endearment, and
I think so.
Especially, I mean, could you imagine? So, like, to set the scene up, I mean, this is right after Judas really screws him over.
Yeah.
And so we have this whole image, like even later on, you'll see the little deal about, I won't leave you little orphans. And I mean, and so Jesus is trying to be really intimate here and letting these people know who he, like what the command is. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if our churches could just show love,
right.
And what that would look like and how that would transform the world. I mean, I think amazing things could easily happen. I think the struggle that we have in our world today is that, one, what does our love look like?
Right.
I think we struggle to know what love looks like. because we can say love our neighbor all we want to, but if we don't know what that looks like, how can we show what love looks like? Especially if we don't have a healthy model of love. Now, you can easily say that Jesus shows what a healthy model of love looks like, and I could agree with you to a point, but I think my hiccup on that is that I think far too often that people we proof text all too often, and we don't get the sense of getting the full picture of Jesus and how he really showed what love looked like.
Right.
And that there's a reason why these people that were with Jesus throughout this whole journey, and I will contend until my dying day and I'm standing before God, and that's one of the questions I get to ask. I know there were more than 12, God. Please affirm that for me. I know like that there would have had to have been more than 12. Mm-hmm. It's just those guys get elevated. And I think that, you had all these people with you. You want to be intimate, and so you're lifting it up in a way that you're trying to convey a message. And God's really, I really do believe that the truth of Christianity, if you want to talk about truth, is about how we love our neighbor and how we show our love for God. And how we practice that really matters. And we see it in Paul, and how Paul tears down boundaries that were put up. We see it in the book of Acts, and how, when they were reorganizing what it meant to be a follower of the way, it really does center and focus around love. And obviously the church has fallen short on that on so many levels. And we can pick and choose our battles on that. But I really do believe that love is what we're called. Love is all we need, to quote the Beatles.
Right. I don't often quote the Beatles, but I would there. No, I would agree with that. I made the comment of little children in a derogatory. I've heard people take that into the context that Jesus called them little children, because it tells you a lot about that person's theology and their theology towards kids, right? The kids aren't important, and or they're dumb, right? And but I agree with you. I'm with you on this. This is a term of endearment, and we do it as preachers and things all the time when we're preaching, and we say church, brothers and sisters, whatever our term of endearment during preaching. I don't think this is any different. I think Jesus is trying to draw them in, and now hear what I have to say. It's important. And I can see him. He's likely sitting in this scenario, getting really quiet and leaning in, like he's going to tell him a secret.
I have that image of the school teacher, all right, kids, listen up. All right, hey, yo, listen up. And I see that because it's such an important lesson, and it's one that, when we think about it in the long term, that's what we are called to do. And I think it's because I love Christian history, and I didn't grow up in the church, but I've fallen in love with reading Christian history. Gustav Gonzalez's books on history are some of my favorite reads, and I've read them over and over again because they're just so good.
Right.
But man, if there's one thing we have failed to do since Jesus left, it's failed to love. And we can point to many aspects of our history where we've done that, and I think it's something that we could easily softball it up for everybody this week and say, who are you called to love?
Sure.
But
I think the better question is not the softball-y one, right? But the question of who have you failed to love?
Ooh, that's a good one.
So we only do the communion liturgy every other month here, and I always, anytime, any church that when we do the confession and pardon, and we have to say we have failed to be an obedient church, we have failed to love our neighbor. I always have somebody after the service go, I'm uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
And my question's always, why? Well, because we're doing pretty good. Yeah. But has there been an instant in this last week that as a church, or this last month, or however long, that as a church we have failed to do all we can to love people and to love God? And that confession is an honest one of, they're somewhere. We're not perfect. We're gonna miss it. Yeah. And so, it's a tough question.
I think that's a good question to end on today. And so we want to challenge you this week to look at yourself and ask yourself, where have you failed to love? I think that's a good thing to reflect on. And so encourage you to go on our website, beardedtheologians.com, pick up we've got some really good gifts and stuff to use. Father's Day is coming, and what a better way to celebrate Father's Day than to get your dad a Bearded Theologians mug, shirt, hoodie, coffee mug, tie, whatever else we have on there. I think we even may have some tights on there.
I think there's some yoga pants on there.
Some yoga tights.
If you want to get your dad yoga pants, we're going to need a picture.
If you buy your dad yoga pants and your dad is wearing them, we will feature you on a future podcast. Let's just leave it at that. I mean, because that would be really cool. And
that would be really cool.
Trevor, I'm looking at you. That would be for you, because we know he's listening, because he just had a baby.
He did. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, Trevor. Cheers to you. So for the Bearded Theologians, I'm Matt Franks.
I'm Zach Bechtold. Thanks for checking us out.
We hope you've enjoyed the conversations that we've had today on the Bearded Theologians Beardcast, and we'd encourage you to continue those conversations online at beardedtheologians.com or on our Facebook page. We also hope that you pick up a couple of coffee mugs to satisfy your coffee mug collection. Have a good day.